Hey folks, good afternoon. This is Tim Vatapka here from Prosperity Plus, and I am the Director of Marketing Services for clients who come to us for help with regard to any kind of marketing communications. And chief among these, more recently, is a lot of effort being done to focus on presentations, whether it's typical slide presentations for product announcements or corporate overviews and orientations, and also for orientation purposes, training. So anytime you have to get up in front of a crowd and do a presentation, this is what this little 8-minute presentation is for, just to give you some thoughts on how to make yourself more successful, more confident presenters. And if you follow just a few of these commandments, 4 of them actually, you'll be much more better off and better positioned to be a good presenter. And I'm reminded of a great scene in the Mel Brooks comedy History of the World Part 1, where Moses, or Mel Brooks, comes down as Moses, down from the mountain top, and he's got the 3 heavy stone tablets. And you see him as he makes his way around the rocky wall. He yells out, and I can't do my Mel Brooks impression too well, but he says, "Oh, hear me, the Lord has given me unto you these 15," and he drops one of the tablets in a loud crash, and without missing a beat, he says, 10 commandments. It's a very funny moment, but it really kind of illustrates the idea of a presenter who really knows how to keep the ball rolling, especially when addressing an audience. And while it's a little bit of a corny scene just to get a laugh, the point is really well taken and highly applicable to anyone who finds themselves by choice or by force in the position of setting up a presentation for a new product, service, or for the company. So let's take a look at some of the commandments. I promise you I will only do 4, not 15. And we'll try to make this as real as possible. So, rule number 1, know your purpose before you even get started. Whether you're doing a webcast, you're addressing a large audience of 50, 1,000, or however many there may be at a conference, or you just are meeting with a couple of key decision makers over a conference table, either way, you really need to be so well focused on your intention and your purpose that really the slides or whatever you're putting up on screen is nothing more than a comfortable add-on to yourself. I've seen many presenters get wrapped around the axle on slide building that they really forget to really be the experts they truly are on the very topic that on which they're presenting. So really, again, before you even open the program called PowerPoint, take a good look at what you want to communicate and gain from your presentation. You got to ask yourself some key questions. What do you want to communicate? What's the real purpose of this presentation? And what do you want your audience to understand and believe? If you want them to see you as being better than their current vendor, well, that's an entirely appropriate to assign seniority to. You Having these and any other worthy objectives in mind ahead of time really will focus your thoughts and streamline your efforts as you sit down to set up the presentation. Now, I realize at first it may all look like a jigsaw puzzle, and that's okay, but if you really organize your thinking early on, things will fall in line relatively easy. Second major rule, and I've seen this time and time again, don't be a slide hog. Nobody likes a slide hog. The best presentations really come down to the folks who are willing to be stage front, completely ready, willing, and able to speak to the audience, to speak with the audience, interaction. Really becoming a slave to the slide deck actually doesn't do you any good. It actually minimizes your position as the well-polished authority of the subject, and it almost directs and forces your own attention onto the computer screen, whether it's up on the wall or in front of you, and not on the eyes of your audience where it belongs and where you can see what we call the indicators. Are they following you? Are they dozing off? Do they look like they're distracted? You need to be able to see these things. Now you have to really kind of think with the idea that if you have the mindset that you could do this whole presentation with no slides whatsoever, you'd be in pretty good shape. In fact, slides are really there just to support or back up certain points. They're really there to have a backup as complement your presence and your sweet and sultry voice if you have one. So think with that, I've had a lot of experience. If you haven't had any, comfort level with that, you can certainly get coached. Rehearsal is always a good idea. If you're really not sure that you can do this on your own, by all means, get some support. I myself have had a lot of experience with a variety of personalities, from senior corporate VPs and group managers to product managers. And you know what? Many of them, in fact, most of them, have not necessarily been trained on how to do good presentations. And they probably were dreading it to some degree before they even got started. Let's take a look at the next rule, which is don't covet thy podium. And why is this key? Well, you know what? People who stand rigidly behind a podium, nothing really ever good comes from an immobile presenter. And what's going on here is you really don't know what you're doing or being aware of it, but you really are putting a barrier between yourself and your audience. And this is sort of a fixed barrier that stays there throughout the duration of the presentation. And again, it really dilutes your position as a confident authority who can be entrusted with the secrets of somebody's pain points, whether it's a customer, client, whatever it may be. So you don't want to be overly animated or be a stand-up comedian running back and forth like a lunatic. You just need to have the confidence to just be in the room. Comfortable enough. Sure, you want to have the freedom to be able to move around. They have lavalier microphones, and those are the wireless microphones. Usually they work. For a while there was some trouble. But you have to be able to just tell a story, okay, and be heard, be understood, be seen, even by the guy way in the back who may be looking at some YouTube videos or texting his girlfriend or whatever the case may be. I like to refer to folks that stay behind the podium or the lectern as a podium possum. They may get polite applause when they're done, but honestly, they don't get remembered for what they said or presented. I'll give you one more rule to think with, then I'll let you go. Remember the value of brevity and honor this rule with all your heart. Whether you use the typical slide deck tools in a presentation or you've got another tool in mind for your next performance, please remember this single bit of information that's so vital. Don't make your audience read a slide, and don't ever read to your audience. If you watch TV and you watch the news, sometimes the best newscasters, and I don't care if they're late night talk show hosts, daytime people, when they're talking on screen, don't they appear to be telling you what's going on in the world? They don't appear to be reading to you unless you catch them looking at a cue card and you see their eyes moving. It's honest. They actually have an honest and sincere interest in telling you what they have to say. Now, this obviously takes a little bit of training in front of a teleprompter, but it really does create the desired effect. If you're the member of the audience in this case, you feel as if your favorite weatherman not only knows his information cold, sorry, bad pun, but he is genuinely interested in delivering the data to you. Yeah? Right? Follow? So it should be with your presentations. If you build a slide deck with a full paragraph of body copy on it, I'm going to challenge you to be able to read it from 10 feet away and not feel the urge to do something else, like, I don't know, balancing a pencil on your nose or checking your phone for messages or sharing a cute YouTube video of a grumpy cat or something like that. Keep your screen bullets brief, simple, straightforward. Then you rely on your own knowledge and confidence to expand on them or discuss them to the point where there's full conceptual understanding on the part of your audience. Always ask. You follow? Always ask. Are you with me? Make sure that they're still awake. Remember, you are the one they need to hear and see. You are the one with the amazing story to tell of some new solution or some new product that they have to have or have to hear about at least. It's more about your conviction and your sincerity in your tone and voice, and not the bullets or clip art on the screen. I know, it's all very simple, right? But it takes practice. Think about some of the guys who host these talk shows during the day or at night. Much of their success stems from their own comfort level with just being in the space. So try this out. Practice, then rehearse. If you have the opportunity, walk around the room you're going to be presenting in ahead of time. You got to think with the idea of eliminate the feeling that you're new to this environment or that anything other than being a good storyteller is who you are. You don't want to come across as a pitch man. Above all this, think with this. Presentations really are nothing more than an opportunity to do something that your competition can't accomplish if they're not in the room. And that is establish an affinity between you and your audience. And my friends, when you've done that, there's very little else that can stand between you and your next customer or your next big deal. So, if you're interested in getting some one-on-one coaching on your next presentation, or you want to have a little more polish in your own presentation, give me a call. 631-382-7762, or drop me an email. Email's right there, tvotapka@prosperityplus.com. Thanks for listening.